Boom! Welcome back to yet another average video on my channel here. That's what he always says. Guys, welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage here in sunny and hot Australia. We are in the battery and system room because we are also pre-cooling our fruits and veggies now in here. Sometimes a carton of beer sits in here for a week, so it doesn't sit outside at 35 degrees. Very convenient to have your own cooling room. Alright my friends, in today's video we want to build another Frankenstein battery out of these 15 CATL 530 ampere hour batteries plus one MB56 battery. So I need to wait for a replacement cell, but for that time we are using the MB56 cell. Should be fine. Alright, I've also found the busbars which we can use for these cells here. I believe they are actually M8 busbars. But we have fairly large contact areas here on these terminals, so that will be fine. So first of all, we take all these batteries out, take out the top cage to get access to the bottom part, take the front panel out and see how we can arrange 8 cells in a row with a huge gap on the left and on the right. So now we are getting to the interesting part. I'm just loosening these screws here. There are 4 all in total for the bottom compression plate. So I'm not taking them out altogether, but I want to show you how long these screws are, yeah? That's pretty good, and that's exactly what we need. Alright, so let's get it in again, because this is how much extra space we are getting, and we will need it. Alright, bottom compartment here, and we have the BMS with the main negative down here. So this will be the main negative of the battery. And we are starting with cell number 1. Cell number 1 doesn't look too bad. Lots of scratches here on this side. Yeah, lots of scratches over here. Not sure why. Okay, so this needs to be connected over here. Yeah, and I probably get the compression plate all the way out. Epoxy sheet, EVA tape. What we probably should do is put the side panels in as well. Even the cells are not even close to the metal cage, but it's probably useless. Okay, let's see if this fits. Yeah, that fits perfectly. Okay, well, let's get another 7 cells in here and see how we go, if we have enough space. There will be only EVA tape in between these cells. Alright, now we've got the problem that cell number 8 will not fit into this row. There is good 10-12 millimeters missing, plus the EVA tape, plus the epoxy sheet on the back here. So nah, this is not gonna work. Alright, what we can try is even longer screws at the front, so the whole compression plate can even come out further. Yeah, this will give us another 10-12 millimeters, exactly what we need. Okay, and now so you have to shift all the cells a bit further this way and make sure this one is not dropping in. So let's see. Oh yes, it fits, but look at this, it doesn't even slide in. It is that tight. Wow. I'm also a bit concerned if we come too much forward, the front panel doesn't fit in anymore with all the cables and especially the circuit breaker. Oh yes. There you can see it. When you look down on the circuit breaker's back, it doesn't really fit anymore. So I don't think I'm getting 8 in a row. We have to come up with another solution here. The Frankenstein spirit hits once again. So the bus bars are actually long enough to give us a bit of slack here, so we can offset these cells by quite a lot. Yeah, because we have to ensure that this battery stays like this because of the connection to the BMS, and also cell number 8 over here needs to stay in this position because here is a bus bar connected going in this slot all the way up and connects to the top row of the batteries. But the cells in between here, they can be at any position, right? And now we are installing cell number 4 just in this position. There we go. So you can use another EVA tape, give us a bit of insulation, like this. Yeah, we've got some slack here with the battery, and it fits actually in between all these cells. Okay, that's perfect. And we still have about 15 to 20 mil here to compress. So this foam in the middle here will of course compress the most, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, we can have this cell as an offset, and this one is even more offset all the way to this side, and the same over here, staggered cell and cell number 8 then connecting to the top. The only downside is that these bus bars do not fit this way, so there's no way. I just realized this cell needs actually to go over here. Hang on, let me think about this. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. And from here we need to connect to this side of the battery. Oh, we probably have to make our own longer bus bar for this. It's a true Frankenstein project. So let's have a look what we have in our Frankenstein cable box. This is a weird ring lock here, probably from a BMS. These are too long. This one goes into a circuit breaker. Yeah, far too long and too thick. Yeah, I've got some bus bars which actually fit. Yeah, something like this. Ooh! Yeah, negative, positive, negative. And from here to here. Here. What about... Oh, that is made for it. Problem solved. And for all the other connections we can use bus bars. I just thought about the situation with the balance cable, because we've got these PCBs here and they come with the 3mm ring lock connecting to pre-configured bus bars which have this M3 tapped insert. These ones don't have that. So this one, oh, now we've got another problem. That we are potentially touching the bus bars with this. Oh, now we've got real issues here. That is not good. We are getting too close here with these bus bars to this metal holder. Far too close. Look at this. They could touch here, and even here, this bus bar, very, very close. This is not going to work, so I have to potentially offset this holder here a bit and then drill new holes over here and over here at the back as well. Oh guys, if this is not a real Frankenstein project, I don't know what is. We could potentially take this metal holder out and use the delivered balance cables, which comes with the BMS, just the long cables, and don't use any of these holders. Because they're getting a bit too close for my taste to all these battery terminals, because we've got this massive offset here. One terminal is over here, the other one is far further this way, and then here it's the other way around again. And regardless where I put it, then we are fairly close over here at the end. This is probably just a finger, and we are close here, we are close here, we are close here. It is not ideal as it is. So probably we skip these ones all together. Let's see if we do have. We have the original balance cables. The question is though, are they long enough to connect to the BMS. So I've got blue and white here, which is blue and white over here. And then we put them somewhere over here. Oh yes, they are long enough. Nice. Yeah, I'd probably go with this solution rather than the PCB holders. Okay, in this case we don't need to drill any holes into these bus bars. We just crimp all these balance cables with M6 ring lugs. Done. It definitely feels like in the good old days where we had to crimp our own balance cables with the ring lugs. But before we connect them, we have to compress. We have to tighten these screws here, all four, for the compression plate and see how far we can push them together. And once all the cells are mildly compressed in a fixture, we can then tighten the nuts on the terminals. All right, let's go. Let's see. Oh yeah, getting a bit of compression. I think I can go all the way in with the compression plate. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, see, the cells are still moving. So this is a good fixture, but not a strong compression. Perfect. That's all we need. All right, let's get these 16 million balance cables connected. Alright, I think I've now finalized the bottom shelf compartment here with the first 8 cells of the CATL CB530. That's what they are called. So I've connected all the balance cables, put all the M6 stainless steel nuts on these studs, tightened and torqued everything with 4 Newton meters and double checked it again. Because once the other batteries are sitting on top here, we cannot access this compartment anymore, ever. That's why it is always a good idea to double check, double, triple check everything you have done. Making sure this is not too tight. So, it's a bit better, yeah. We've got one temperature sensor here in between the cells and the other one sticks here in between the cells. So, because the cells are loose anyway, it's not like a good compression here. I can easily slide them in between the cells and they are fine, yeah. They're measuring everything. Just for my own OCD purpose. EVA tape here to the length of the cell, but now it sticks out left and right, the same over there. I can see it. But we will cover this up very soon here and then we won't see this shit ever again. Alright, then let's check on our balance cables because we have connected them ourselves and haven't used the PCBs pre-configured. So I'm measuring between negative and the first cell positive here on the balance cable port 3.2, next cell 6.5, 9.7, 13.6, second connector 16, 19, 22, 26. Yeah, we have successfully built our first 24 volt battery using CATL cells. Not bad. And of course I've used some Velcro here to organize these balance cables here. It doesn't look too bad. So I've also connected this long PCB which sits in this notch here of the case, and this connects the bottom row batteries to the top row batteries. So we have finished here with a positive and this needs to go to the negative of the next cell further up. So also what I'm going to do is I put this epoxy sheet just on top of the batteries here. We cannot secure this anymore because the PCB holder is not there anymore, but it really cannot go anywhere. But before we do that, we should actually connect this fire extinguisher. I just used the same Velcro to hold this fire extinguisher thingy. It's not a cable. There's some chemical stuff inside, and once the tip gets 400 degrees or something, it starts burning towards the fire extinguisher. And then when it reaches it, we probably don't want to know. Okay, but now we are covering everything up and get started with the next row. It fits this way. Oh, jeez. Jeez. It's all good. Yeah, then we can see the floor, and this is the epoxy sheet protecting the bottom row terminals and bus bars and all kind of stuff. So we've got like 15 millimeters or something space, because the CATL cells, they are a bit higher than the MB56. Yeah, there you can see the terminal, epoxy sheet, and then there's 15 millimeters gap until the next floor. Alright, here it is. Cell number 9. It's an epoxy sheet and some EVA tape. There we go. And this connects over here. Nice. That works beautifully. And 15. Ah, we need 16. Shit. See, I'm ending with negative, but we need positive here going to the fuse. But this is cell number 15. We need cell number 16, which is the MB56. This is not going to fit. Okay, let's take out cell number 12. Slide this all together and put in the MB56 here as the last one connecting to the positive. But before we do that, we have to modify the MB56 cell a bit. Maybe you can remember when we got this one here, it had no bottom insulation, because someone ripped off this black insulation material here saying there was a barcode on it, and they couldn't give this to me because this was one of the first MB56 cells out there, and the Hakadi battery super source sent this over as is. And I don't want to put this cell in the metal case without bottom insulation. So I've got this black PE film here. There we go, some double sticky tape. And our MB56 has now a nice bottom insulation. It's ready to go. Alright, we've got the cell number 16, our MB56 in place. Positive goes over here. Then we use the usual bus bars to connect the negative to the positive of the CB530. You can push this a little bit further down. Yep, that's fine. And then the next one goes over here, and we create some space on this side for cell number 12. And then we do a similar cabling as we have done in the bottom. Okay, here's the most beautiful cell layout again, version 2. I put this extra epoxy EVA tape in between here to isolate this cell as well. Okay, so now comes the fun part. Compression. Yeah, this one is loose. And these ones are loose as well. Noise. Okay, bus bars. Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, and then we have negative, positive. Oh, I think I've made a mistake here. I need to turn this one around. No big deal. Okay, negative, positive. So we need a bus bar. Of course, this doesn't fit. And then we need to go from negative to the positive over here. I've got negative, positive, and negative, positive. Exactly. And from here, negative, it goes down to the positive. Alright, let me find some bus bars here to connect this shit to make it a real Frankenstein. Alright my friends, there's the top compartment ready, cabled, torqued, marked, checked. Yeah, I've done pretty much the same as in the bottom compartment, so I used a bit of Velcro to organize the balance cables here. And this furthest away cable was just long enough, because from the BMS we have to go up all the way and then across the whole length of the battery box. So thankfully Yixiang delivers these long cables with their BMS, and it all worked out. And now we can also see what the colors are for. Okay, last thing is to check these balance cables here for the right voltage order, and then we can plug everything together and turn on the Frankenstein battery for the very first time. There was a slight problem here with this bus bar, but I think it's fine because the MB56 cell is not as high as the CATL 530s. Yeah, you can see the height difference, but both sides of the bus bar is sitting straight and flush on the terminals of each of the cells. And you can actually see this here from this side, how the bus bar comes and then goes down and then goes straight again. I just pre-bent this bus bar here a little bit over my thumb so it stays in this way, and it's actually pretty good. And it balances out the height difference between these two cells very nicely. Let's see if I can fetch the negative here again. So we've got a consistent measurement. So red first, that's here. So that should be at 29.4, 32.7, 36, 39, and the yellow 42.5, 45.8, 49, and 52.4. Yes, it's all in the right order. Nice. I have to praise myself because we haven't done this for quite a while. Yeah, we're using all these do-it-yourself boxes and they come with these pre-configured PCBs, and you just plug everything in and it works. And here, this is real do-it-yourself work. And as always, I have forgotten to connect the positive of the BMS, which is actually quite short. Oh no, it is just long enough to reach. Huh. Alright, now we've got a whole bunch of cables to plug in. Here, floppy disk cable to the BMS, and these other communication cables, and the power switch. Alright, main negative. Okay, pre-tighten. Okay, I'm not using any torque settings for this one here, I'm just getting it really tight. And the same up here for the fuse. I'm not sure what specifications these terminals have, so just tighten them. Front panel may need one screw, which I don't have. Oh my god. Where's this one screw? Alright. Good one. Okay, before we turn it on, let's check everything again. Looks good down there. There's heaps of space between the front panel and the BMS. Now you can see the balance cables. Heaps of space here as well between the breaker and the compression plate. That all looks pretty good. This is all tightened. We checked all these ones. We measured the 52 volts. So it is time. So it is time to turn it on for the very first time. 3, 2. That is good. I've got an alarm, which we cannot see because this display is not on the newest version, but the BMS hasn't been set up for this battery yet. We just have a look at the packs. There's one pack. Let's check on all the cell voltages. 3.26. Yeah, cell number 2 is the lowest, 3.256, and cell number 16 is the highest, which is our MB56 cell. That's alright, no problem. It will be always the highest cell probably because it has 140 ampere hours more than all the other cells. That is just the nature of the beast now. Okay, that all looks pretty good. Where's my mobile phone actually here? I want to make a pair. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bluetooth password. Then it connects, modify password in time. This seems to be the only alarm we are getting. So going to settings. So first thing we want to do, we want to click on lithium iron phosphate up here and get the settings right for that. Then set the battery capacity to 530 ampere hours. 10 millivolt deviation, calibration, that's all right. Balancing start voltage 3.45. Cell oil protection 3.65, 3.4, that's all good. Man, amazing. They have adapted all my settings now. Yeah, that works pretty well. Temperatures are not too important for me. Check about, oh, 19.16. This is a very old firmware version. Okay, never mind. I'll update this later to 19.27. The link for that is down below. Just going through all the settings, they're all looking good. Let's have a look at the cell voltages again here in one screen. Cell number 16 is a bit high. This is the MB56 cell. I don't hope this is fully charged actually. And cell number 5 is now the lowest. They're all looking good. All the temperature sensors are showing MOSFET temperature. Guys, we've done it. We built another Frankenstein battery. So the only real question is now, how does this battery behave when it's charging and discharging with this MB56 cell here as cell number 16? Looks quite strange. Even with cell number 12 there on the side. That's the flexibility you need sometimes to build a battery. Well, fortunately I've got two cables sitting here, positive and negative, which I will connect to the battery. And then we connect this battery to all the other batteries here and charge it at the same time. Because this alone is around 27-28 kilowatt hours, so it will take a while to charge this one up. At the moment maybe a day or two. Because we still got so much sunshine. Amazing to fill up such a battery very quickly. And then of course we want to do a full capacity test and see how the cells behave under its first load. So before we do that actually I want to measure the idle voltage, because this is the perfect opportunity to set this one right in the app. So 52.40 volts we have. No current obviously. And we go in here all the way up and set this one to 52.40 volts and set this OK. Current, as I said, I'm not really interested in, because I don't use the current of the BMS for anything else than entertainment. Alright, let's hook it up now and start charging. Guys, I was just wondering why I have so many screws left. Once again, I have forgotten to screw them into the top cage of the batteries. You know, it has 3 screws on each side. Second time I've forgotten it. It is this, and they are, quite frankly, useless, because nobody will lift this cage out. Even these screws are missing. It is far too heavy. Alright, I've connected the negative already, and I just want to make sure there's no voltage. There's no voltage here on the terminal before I connect the positive, because these cables are already live connected to the 48 volt bus bar, but there's no voltage because the breaker is still in trip position. But better to double check before you connect the cable, otherwise you get a big spark, because there's already current going into the battery then, and we certainly don't want that, not without our permission. Alright, so if I turn this one off, come on, it's off now, and back on, we will have an inrush current here into the BMS. Probably set a maximum charge current. The battery shelf sits on 54.5 volts, so close to 100% charged, and this is at 52.4 volts, so there are 2 volt difference. It shouldn't be too bad, but again, I just want to make sure. Disable parallel limiter. We don't want to disable it, just make sure this one is turned on. And then we set the maximum charge current to, where is it? Continue charge 300 amps. See, this is a bit too much. So we set this one to 80 amps. Yeah. If we go over 80 amps for 3 seconds, it should disconnect the charging, and then the parallel limiter, the current limiter, kicks in, and we should see a 10 amp current going into this battery. Okay, let's turn it on and see what happens. Let's see, 91 amps, 90 amps, and now it's going to 0 and then to 10 amps. So the current limiter is now active, which is perfect. 90 amps would have been alright, but let's charge slowly and see how the battery performs, that we don't have any voltage spikes. So let's check this quickly here. We've got a cell voltage difference of 73 millivolt, because cell number 16 is far too high. I probably have to discharge this MB56 cell a bit manually while the other ones are charging, otherwise it will hit. It is probably fully charged, right? 3.35 volts. Could be. I'm not sure when we did the last test with the MB56 cell. So whatever it was, it went into the box here. Looks like it's far too high. Alright, here I want to show you something pretty cool. Okay, you can see here the capacity of the battery shelf is 864 ampere hours here. The power wall has 874 ampere hours at the moment. I have connected only 3 of the 4 Google Power batteries there. 1, 2, 3, bottom one is off. All the other batteries here are off as well. So that's why we have only 874 ampere hours, yeah? In the next line you can see the battery shelf has 44.2 kilowatt hours. That's the maximum stored energy. And the power wall with the 3 Google Power batteries only has 44.7 kilowatt hours. So if I now connect our new Frankenstein battery here with this white cable to the RS485 bus, it will obviously add these 530 ampere hours here to the rest, and the master BMS knows about it. Because I'm using the iBMS at the moment, it collects the information of all connected batteries and reports this to Home Assistant, as you can see here. So when I plug in this cable, this battery will report I have 530 ampere hours additionally to these 874 ampere hours you already know about, and it changes these 2 numbers for the power wall, the capacity and also the energy. Alright, let's plug it in and see what's happening here in Home Assistant. Bam! So 874 ampere hours and 44.7, and now you can see it has changed to 1404 ampere hours, and we have also now 71.9 kilowatt hours available. So as soon as I plug in another JK battery to this bus here, it changes all these parameters and settings automatically in Home Assistant, thanks to the iBMS, which catches all this information. Yeah, and if I unplug this one again, takes a few seconds, and then the capacity and energy goes down to the value it had before without this battery. And you can also see it changes the CCL from 280 to 255. And now it has updated the data, and we have again 874 ampere hours and 44.7 kilowatt hours. Battery shelf plus 3 of the Google Power batteries. Alright, plug it back in. And there we have it again. 1404 ampere hours. I was really sick of calculating all these ampere hours all the time when I connect batteries, disconnect batteries. So I made this automation here in Home Assistant, and it does it all automatically for me now, regardless what I have, as long as I stay with the JK BMS. But this will also work if we have a stack of step-loss batteries or a stack of Pace BMSs or any other battery. It will automatically find and report the correct capacity and also energy, and reports this all to Home Assistant. Pretty cool. This is really good. It helps a lot. And it is always correct. Alright my friends, yeah, I think I'm charging this battery now to 55.2 volts and see what the MB56 cell does. I'm pretty sure it needs some discharging, so hopefully the MB56 will be not too dominant about all the other cells, but I believe it will be the highest voltage cell pretty much all the time, just because of the much higher capacity it has in comparison to the other cells, but this is just what it is. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this Frankenstein 2 battery. It came out pretty cool, I think. And I'm really keen to see how much capacity and energy this battery delivers then to our inverter once it is fully charged and fully top balanced. So stay tuned for this video coming very soon here on the channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for over 120,200 subscribers now. That is just freaking insane. As always, very special thanks goes to... oh, wrong t-shirt. Yeah, very special thanks goes to Average Joe, of course, and also to all the people, to these beautiful people who are donating to the channel here, either clicking the thanks button down there, buying me a beer through my website, or even becoming a channel member. Thank you very, very much for that. If you want to, leave a nice comment, give me a like. If you are new here, subscribe, it is free. And until the next video, guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye.